My name is Piotr Balcerowicz. I teach philosophy, South Asian languages. I'm a professor in Poland. I used to be a visiting professor in Germany. A part of my activities is not only teaching and doing research, but also traveling and learning about the world. I also have an NGO which helps poor people in Asia and Africa. I have traveled to different parts of the world, also those parts where you have wars and conflicts. In my research and travels, I have met quite a number of famous people, such as presidents of different countries, such as, for instance, Yasser Arafat, the president of Palestinian autonomy, such as Shimon Peres, the president of Israel, such as Sheikh Yassin and other founders of Hamas movement, such as famous rabbis of Israel, also leaders of Hezbollah movement in Lebanon. I've met different people involved in the conflict in Afghanistan, such as Hamid Karzai, the president of Afghanistan, but also many Taliban. I've met Ahmed Shah Massoud, with whom I did interviews. With most of these people I did interviews and I published them. Why do I meet them? It's because of my wish to understand better conflicts which take place on Earth. When I travel to zones where you have conflicts, also military conflicts and civil wars, I do it because I also want to understand why people kill each other. Also to understand in order to be able to find solutions for that. Part of my activities is my NGO called Education for Peace. Through education we try to bring peace to the regions where we have conflicts. When I meet leaders of the societies, of groups involved in conflicts, it helps me to understand their views better. Every communication with people helps us to understand what they think, why they do certain things. This is why I'm always happy and keen to meet people, ordinary people, but also their religious and political leaders. In my travels I've also met a number of different religious leaders. I met the Mufti of Jerusalem, the leader of Islamic community in the Middle East. I also met the head of the Christian church in the Middle East, the Maronite church. And I've met religious leaders in different parts of the world. Also, precisely because of the same reason, to understand their views better, to understand better why their communities live this way and not other way, to understand why they oppose something, why they get involved in conflict and sometimes in war.
And how did you find them? Are they peaceful?
Yeah, I would say the people whom I meet normally in conversation are peaceful. Even the Taliban whom I met, as ordinary people they can be very peaceful and friendly. And it is always strange that people who seem friendly, peaceful in a conversation, suddenly on another day they can take a gun and go to war, or can ask other people to join the war. It is a strange paradox of human nature, unfortunately.
Did you try to change their mind and educate them or enlighten them?
It's very difficult to try to change an adult person. Usually leaders who are political leaders or religious leaders have very clear views, and as leaders of their communities they are not ready to change their views so easily. The communities, ordinary people, will be able to change their views much faster. When people change their views, the leaders will be forced to change their views. So education actually should reach everybody, but should start with ordinary people.
So leaders accused for conflicts.
Very often leaders can be accused of conflicts because leaders will appeal to ideology, to ethnic differences, religious differences, to get support from their communities. In order to become leaders, they need political support. This is why they will try to simplify things. Sometimes they will try to find an enemy when the enemy does not exist. They do it simply because they need power, they want power, and they need the support of the society. Thereby, they will incite other people to violence, simply because of their own personal desires of having political power.
As for world leaders, are they um, fanatics or have common sense?
I would say world leaders, politicians, most of them are quite cynical, not necessarily fanatic. They are cynical. They know very well why they use religion, ethnicity, and other values to get political support. When they see that the minds of people in the society change, then the politicians, as you can always notice, will also change their views. Simply because they see that society does not believe them anymore. So they will have to change their views again to get this new political support from the society. I would say there are very few fanatical leaders. Ordinary people, perhaps, in some organizations, terrorist organizations, religious groups, can be fanatical, but the leaders usually are not fanatical.